Welcome to my channel. I'm so happy to have you here today. I am Wendy and this is my home sweet mobile home. I am getting ready to paint my countertop in my guest bathroom. There really isn't much countertop to speak of, so it should be a fairly quick process. I did this a few, oh gosh, 3 years ago, I think it was, in my kitchen. I painted my countertops to look like granite, and it turned out so good. I just love it. In fact, it has held up great. I have had no problems with it. It still looks just as good today as it did the day I did it, and it's really held up well. And I don't abuse it, but I don't baby it, and it's really surprisingly held up a lot better than I expected. So I've been very pleased with it. And so it's something I've wanted to do in here for a long time. And I want to do it in my master bathroom too. But that bathroom still has the original hideous gold sink. It's just ugly. And it's got cigarette burns in it from whoever lived here before at some point. Apparently liked to smoke in the bathroom, which must have been delightful, I'm sure. Okay, whatever. Don't judge. Not judging anybody. But before I paint that countertop in that bathroom, I want to get a new white sink. I lucked out when I got this one. I found it at Habitat for Humanity for $12. And it looked brand new. I mean, I could tell it was in somebody's bathroom and it didn't get used very much because it really did and does still look pretty close to brand new. So I looked them up online the other day because I'm pretty sure I'm not going to get that lucky again. And so just out of curiosity, I did a search for mobile home parts, mobile home supplies, and whatever the company was that I found their website, they sell them. And a new sink, like just like what's in here and what I need, is $30. And I thought, that's not really that bad. I mean, obviously I'd like to find another one like I found for this bathroom, but yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to get that lucky again. Especially down here, I live in a very rural area, and there aren't a lot of stores down here. We have Walmart, we have Home Depot, but that's about it, So there is luckily a Habitat for Humanity, but that's just you take your chances on what you're going to find. You never know, but $30 isn't that bad, and it would be worth it to me to get that sink swapped out. So and then when that happens, I'll do the countertops in there too. But I want to show you what you need for this project. I finally got everything. It's really quite simple, and it's actually fun to do. The first thing you need to do is to clean the counter really good and make sure it's, there's no, use a real good degreaser or whatever, just a good cleaner to make sure there's no soap, scum, or lotion, or, whatever. There isn't, but I've got contact paper on this counter, and so I've got to take that contact paper off and make sure there's no sticky residue left on there or anything. But so after you clean it real well, and I don't sand it. I didn't sand my kitchen counters, and the video I watched, the tutorial video that I watched at the time I did my kitchen, she didn't sand either. So I thought, well, she didn't, and it worked out, and I'm following her instructions because I hate to sand. But I would have if she would have said, you really need to do this. But I didn't, and it worked just fine. So after you clean it real well and let it dry thoroughly, the first step is you use primer, which I used this kind last time. Although the stuff I used last time had a gray tint to it, so that was perfect. But this is white, which is fine. It doesn't matter. So you put primer on, probably, I think I did 2 coats of that. And then you just use your acrylic paints, and I just use these little guys. You can get these at Walmart, the apple barrel kind. And I think they're like 50 cents a bottle or something. And believe it or not, one of these bottles gives you plenty of coverage. This, oh, okay, here we go. I've got a dark gray and a light gray. And then I got this, I want to put a little hint of white in it. And I found this at the hardware store. It's white. Well, it's called ice. But it's got just a hint of glitter in it. Just real subtle. You have to really kind of look to see it. But I thought that would be a really neat touch in there. Just kind of just a hint of it. So we'll see how that turns out. I mean, and the thing with this project, if you don't like it, you just go back over it. You just dab the paint on with, I used a plastic bag, like an old Walmart bag, I guess it was, and I didn't use the entire bag because it just got too awkward. There was too much of it, and I couldn't control it good. You know, it was just kind of getting all over. So I actually cut that one of those bags into fourths. It's hard to say, fourths. I cut it into 4 pieces and just used them one at a time, and that was perfect. But I've seen other people do it using a paper towel, which is what I did when I did my faux brick. It was essentially the same type of deal. You just dab it on there. Used a paper towel for that. But I'm going to do like I did last time because I had really good results. So I'm going to have to go rustle up an old paper or old plastic bag somewhere and get it cut into 4 pieces. So anyway, after you do all that and you get it looking how you want it, you let it dry thoroughly, and then you come in with the polyacrylic. Oh, water. I think this stuff's water-based. So you put that over the top to seal it, and I did a couple coats of that. I think I did 2 coats. Probably really should have done 3, but it all worked, so. But we'll see how it goes with this. And the sink is quite small, the countertop area anyway, so like I said, this really won't take that long to do, so we'll see how it goes. But okay, here's my countertop. I'm just gonna give you a little idea here. I've got my stuff all laying out, but I'm going to use these disinfecting wipes to clean what there is of the counter off. But as you can see, it's not a big counter, and I do have it covered with contact paper. So yeah, that'll probably be the most work of the whole project. So I think we'll get started. done with the first part of the process. I was putting the primer on last night. Well, it was late afternoon, and I had just finished up with it, and all of a sudden my house went pitch black, power out. Apparently somebody hit a power pole. So we out here in the mobile home park, we were out without power from about 4:30ish until almost 8 o'clock last night. It was starting to get a little chilly in here. But, all's well that ends well. But that means I could not work anymore on this project last night. I wasn't going to start at 8 o'clock, you know, going to the next phase. But honestly, it's kind of a good thing that I waited until the next day to go to step two because I needed to let this primer dry really well. So it's good and dry, and my counter is white with the primer, which I'll show you in just a second. But now I'm going to start dabbing on the paint to make it, to give it the granite look. So I've got black, gray, and dark gray. And I'm debating on which one to start out with. I thought about starting out with the black and getting that on there, but I think I'm going to start out with the gray. Then I'll go in sparingly with the black, and then, if it's too much, I can lighten it back up with the gray before I go in with the white, which I do want to use that very sparingly because it's got a hint of glitter in it, and I don't want to, go too much on that. So anyway, here we go with step two. Oh, but first I want to show you what the counter looks like right now with the primer on it. Okay, so here's the counter with the primer. Okay, finally, I am ready for the final step, which is to put the sealer on the polyacrylic. So I just got this little can because, well, this, for one thing, this stuff's a little on the expensive side. And this is just that time of year where, you know, all of my extra money's gone toward Christmas. You know, not that I ever really have extra money, but you know what I mean. So I just got this little can, and if I could see, I'd tell you, oh, it's an 8 fluid ounce can. So, yes, Amazon. I had to get it on Amazon because the hardware store was out of this stuff. It didn't have any, so I had to order it off of Amazon. I think it was like $12 or something. It's a little expensive, but you gotta have it. It's just the way it is. So this is a water-based formula, so this is what you want. And it said to stir before use and to stir during use. You know, as you go along, every once in a while you're supposed to give it a stir, but this isn't going to take very long because it's such a small surface. Oops. And it's so small. I'm using a popsicle stick, one of my wide popsicle sticks that I use in my crafting. Makes a perfect little stir stick. Whoa, since my stir sticks for paint, those are all way too big. And I'm using this sponge brush because, well, that's all I have. All my paintbrushes are too big to fit inside of this little tiny can, and I don't want to dump it out. So I'm just going to use this and it will be fine. So here we go. Finally, the last coat. I finally got the surface of this looking how I wanted it to look, or how I want it to look. So I'm pretty pleased with how it turned out, and it will look really good once this stuff is applied and it's all dried and everything. It's going to look really nice. So I think I told you that I use this on my counters in my kitchen 3 years ago, and they're holding up very well. I only put 2 coats of this polyacrylic on it afterwards, and I probably really should have done 3, but by the time I did the second coat, I was so over it that I just thought, I'm putting 2 coats on, and that's going to have to be good enough. It had been a long not that particular process, but I did that when all of that repair work was going on in my house from that water break, when they had to totally tear up my kitchen and dining room. All the furniture was stacked in the living room. Oh, it was a mess. And my house had been in a state of construction for about a month, which I know isn't really too terribly long, but it was a really stressful process because of everything that went on. But anyway, by the time I did this process out there, I was ready to be done with all of it. So yeah. And if I remember correctly, I cannot read the writing on the back of this can. It's so small. I even grabbed a little magnifying glass. I still could barely read it. Good grief. I don't know if that's the fault of my aging eyes, or if I'm choosing to blame it on these people. But anyway, I know you're not supposed to keep going over it, you know, like you do with paint. You basically put it on and leave it. You're not supposed to keep going back over and, you know, messing with it. So I'm going to put this coat on and let it dry completely, and then do another one. And that's one neat thing about this process, doing this technique. You can mess with it until you get it to look how you want it to. You can just keep applying dark or light, you know, or whatever to until you get it how you want it to look. And anyway, gonna let this coat dry and come back and do a second, possibly a third coat. Well, it's finally done. Hallelujah. I was starting to wonder. This project should really have only taken one day to do. It's very simple. You don't need very many supplies. And I just had so many interruptions the past few days. It just seemed like everything was working against me. But I finally got it all done. And I applied the final coats of polyacrylic off camera because, I didn't want to bore you guys with the endless layers that it felt like I had to put on. But I did get the 3 layers of polyacrylic put on, so it's good and sealed, which, especially anytime you're working around a sink, you're going to want to make sure that, you've got it, your coats of polyacrylic on there so that it's good and sealed. So there you go. I hope you like it. I love it. I'm very pleased with how it turned out. I was a little worried there first a bit because I had one area that was way too dark and I just had to really work with it until I could get it to where I felt like it looked right. But that's the thing with this technique is so nice is that you can just keep working at it until you get it how you want it to look. You're just essentially dabbing paint on. And if it's too dark, take your lightest color that you're using or, whatever, and just dab some more on. Just, go easy on it, be a little sparingly so you don't overdo it, but just keep at it until you get it looking how you want it to look and then seal it and you're done. But I think it looks really, really good and I'm very pleased with it. And if you are interested in doing this, I will leave a list of materials in the description box below. But as always, thank you so very much for stopping by my channel and watching and commenting and hopefully subscribing. I'm getting up there, you guys. I just a little bit, I think last time I checked it was like 20 or somewhere around 20 people and I'll be at 1,000. So I'm really excited. So I hope you will subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you again for watching. I will see you next time.